Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video, and welcome to episode 202 of Ask Boss Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode, which will be episode 203, then please leave those questions in the comment section below and hopefully you'll be featured. I just want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope everybody has an amazing 2024 and that you and all of your families stay healthy in 2024. Let's hope for a good year for TVC as well. If you do happen to enjoy the video, hit the like button down below and subscribe if you're new. And also a big thank you to Joseph, who just became my latest Patreon supporter. So thank you very much for that, Joseph. Much appreciated. And with all that being said, let's get on to the first question of the week. James Wilson says, hey Bossk, hope you had a Merry Christmas. Question for next week. Do you know if Hasbro has made any comments concerning the missing VC 271 figure slot? Keep up the awesome work and have a happy New Year's. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I don't think they have. Now, that was going to be one of my questions at the most recent Hasbro, brand Q&A panel thing that we go on. It was my fifth question, and unfortunately we only had time to ask 4 questions each, which is a bit of a shame. So I never got round to asking them that question, but hopefully we'll find out in the near future. I'm sure it's one of those things that they'll go back to it eventually. Maybe they just need reminding that, they messed up and that VC 271 is still sort of absent. Channel member Jeff Russell says, hi Tim, question for next week. I just received a copy of the Red 5 Designs Toy Guide Volume 1 for Star Wars. It is immaculate. Have you heard any further news from the guys behind the book regarding Volume 2? I believe it will cover playsets and vehicles from the Kenner line. Yeah, that is, I'm pretty sure, the case, what it's going to be, but I do mean to get those guys back onto a live stream for a bit of an update of where they are at with their various projects. Gianni and Greg, 2 amazing guys, and it's been too long since I've talked to those guys, so yeah, maybe I'll try and get them on a live stream very soon. Ricky Cineros says, love your channel, Bossk, best in this part of the galaxy. Cheers, buddy. He says, my question is, with the mixed reaction reveal of the deluxe Jango Fett, are chances high that we could possibly get Jango on his own card back in the future, maybe in a 2-pack alongside Kid Boba Fett? This is a really interesting one, isn't it, about that Jango Fett? There is nothing in that Jango Fett that is deluxe or warrants being in one of those boxes. It is really, really frustrating. They could have put all of that on a card without any problem at all. And in fact, I probably would have just had him have a standard gauntlet without the fire effect for the gauntlet. And that then would have easily gone on its own card back. So they're kind of doing it the wrong way round now. Usually they would give you a single release, carded release with, minimal accessories or just the accessories that he needs. And then you do a deluxe version with the, the poncho and the headset. And, I know we've got those with the previous Jango anyway, but we are living in different times these days. And, to get all of these extra bits and bobs for our figures, they do make them deluxe at the end of the day, which is, just the way it is right now. It's not right, but it's just the way it is. Yes, it's weird that the way they've done that. So it would be kind of like doing it backwards now. You've already got the deluxe, so, what does the standard carded release come with? Just his pistols and that's it? I really find it strange and odd, and I can't tell you whether we'll get him on his own card back or not. I have a feeling this might be it for Jango Fett now. Having him in a 2-pack alongside Kid Boba Fett would be a good way of doing it, although I can't really see them doing that because the Kid Boba Fett would be an all-new figure, wouldn't it? So we'll have to wait and see what they do, but Jango Fett, very strange all round. Seb The Winterfell says, hi there, do you think there will be a chance that we eventually get Baylan, Shin and Cobb as well in the nearest future? Take care, BB. So all 3 of those did really well in our last figure standing poll. They all got into the top 10. A couple of them got to the later rounds as well. And I'm sure they'll do very well in, the bracket in March as well. I really can't see Hasbro not doing those 3. They're main characters. They're highly requested figures. And, if they're starting work on them now, for example, then you won't see them till 2025. So I can't tell you if we're going to be getting them next year, which will be tomorrow, in fact, 2024, but I would say that they are definitely on Hasbro's minds. I just can't see us not getting those. They've all been done in the Black Series, so I'm sure we'll get them eventually. Justin Riley says, Merry Christmas one and all. Question for next week, will you also collect the newly proposed more child-centric 3.75 inch line? I've heard this line will also include vehicles and beasts. A blurg, anyone? If this is the case, what's your best guess as to which vehicles and beasts will be made? Final question, what market do you think this line is for? I think I'm right in thinking it is for children, but do you think this is a way of Hasbro getting vehicles and beasts out at a more budget-friendly basis for more frugal adult collectors. Big thanks once again, BB, for all you do for the community. No, I definitely don't think this is a way of them getting vehicles out to satisfy, you know, the vintage collection collectors, basically. They just will not have that. This line that's coming out is 100% for children. They've stated so on the recent Hasbro Q&As. You know, basic 5POA figures, the paint apps aren't as good. And in terms of vehicles, you know, the N1 Starfighter, a dumbed down version of that, I could definitely see them do that. They're going to do the most popular things, basically, from the most popular Disney shows. I think some of the figures that have been announced already or leaked, I'm not too sure if they're official yet or not, is I think they're getting a Paz Vizsla, I think they're getting a Mandalorian. So that tells you, you know, that the Mandalorian is a big thing. You can imagine they'll go mad for Grogu in that line. So I could see them doing an M1, maybe some speeder bikes, things like that. Smaller vehicles. Maybe they'll go for the bigger vehicles as well, but at the end of the day, the child-centric line is a way of them getting the kids in, and then when they grow up, they'll become sort of adult collectors and collect this sort of stuff. Vintage collection collectors will not, you know, accept a vehicle designed for the kid line in TVC these days. It's just not going to happen. Steve Rido says, loving the new collection room, BB. Question for next week. How would you feel about a Critters multi-pack with a bunch of various little guys from the films? There could be stuff in there like the frog thing that was sitting outside Jabba's palace, maybe a Womp Rat as well. From Dagobah, that lizard that snarls at Luke when he is descending into the tree cave, and the snake Luke moves away from his soup bowl in Yoda's hut. Also, a Minok, a Porg from The Last Jedi, the Kuans, the centipede-like creatures that Zam Vessel uses to try and assassinate Padme, just to name a few. Maybe even add small droids like the mouse droid, camera droids, buzz droids, etc. Either one big set or multiple smaller sets. Yeah, there was a set that came out for Galaxy's Edge, wasn't there, for the Black Series that had like a Minok in it and stuff like that, and I was a bit jealous of that at the time. I definitely think they could do something like that for TVC. I'm not too sure how they would get that out. Maybe a creatures pack, as you say. You could have a Babu Frick in there. He's been in the Mandalorian now, hasn't he? Or at least the species has. So there's plenty that they could do. Minox, as you say. I just can't really sort of envisage what it would look like. Whether it would be like an open window box or maybe one of those white boxes. Who knows, man? But yeah, I would definitely take it all day long, because we all need, you know, those smaller creatures, especially the frog thing that you mentioned outside Jabba's palace, because that thing on the secondary market from the Saga series, I think it is really quite expensive. Dux Undownload says, love the show and thanks for getting me into TVC. Question for you. How likely would it ever be to get even more obscure characters from comics and books, especially the High Republic and the Vintage Collection? At this moment in time, I honestly think that it's very unlikely. I think they're having enough trouble getting out, you know, the main and background characters for the Disney shows and, you know, the legacy films, the original trilogy, things like that. So I think it is pretty unlikely, especially for the High Republic. You know, a lot of those characters, people don't really know who they are. And I think they need to make like at least an animated series or like a live action show based around the High Republic to be able to get the characters out in the line. I don't think you can just bombard us with characters from the High Republic based off the comics, because essentially only a real small portion of people that collect the figures also buy the comics, I would suggest. That's my opinion anyway. Starkiller says, will we see Kenobi, Jedi Legend figure made from the Kenobi series? We've had a few Kenobi figures, but the Jedi Legend version, in my opinion, is by far his best look. Black Series got him, he looks awesome. With Kenobi series figures already released, any chance we could get him in TVC? Thanks, BB. I would suggest that is a near on certainty at some point. Again, I wouldn't be able to tell you whether that's this year or next year, but I can see them doing it. As you mentioned, they've done it for the Black Series. I agree with you, it is his best look. And, you know, they've got some of the tooling there already, haven't they? I think maybe releasing him in the next year might be a bit of Kenobi overload, because from that series, the majority of what we've got is Obi-Wan Kenobi figures, isn't it, really? You know, so I can imagine them doing it. I think it's just more of a timing issue. Jace9763 says, hey BB, belated congrats on 200 episodes. Question for next week. As a devoted TVC collector, I'm interested in how you see the inconsistency of quality of TVC figures impacting the line with both veteran and new collectors. As an on-again, off-again collector of TVC, I've been put off the line multiple times by the inconsistent quality. It seems for every Dark Times Vader we get, there are several VC62 Endor Han Solos pushed on us. I'm not a diehard of a TVC collector as some, but I fear that Hasbro is driving off new collectors if their first experience with the line is more of the Han Solo variety than the Darth Vader. Am I making a mountain of a molehill? No, I think it's a genuine concern. I've got a few figures sort of in front of you here just to sort of represent that quality issue that you're talking about. So we've got Paz Vizsla there, we've got Cad Bane, and we've got the Grand Inquisitor. 3 amazing figures in 2023. And then we've got the reissue here of Luke Skywalker in his Bespin outfit, also known as the diaper or nappy Luke Skywalker. And, you know, they reissued that figure. Now, what I would say is that when they did start reissuing these figures, they did say that they are for new collectors, for people that they want to get into the line. It does seem a little bit weird you're trying to get them into the line by giving them an inferior figure, but I think it's just about the characters, really. You know, they may not have a Luke Skywalker in their collection and they have to have a Luke Skywalker. You know, so it's the main characters mainly that they've been releasing as part of those reissue waves. So we've had Vader, Han Solo, a couple of Han Solos actually, a couple of different Lukes. We had Jedi Luke, the Endor Capture version, and that one. We've had a couple of layers as well. So, you know, you can see what they're trying to do. And I think it's just the nature of the beast with any action figure line that you do get reissues, repaints, and then, you know, newly tooled figures. And if you're bringing out a newly tooled figure in 2023 and still repacking a figure from 2010, then you're just going to get that quality issue. And this is why many of us have been banging the drum for them to get at least the main heroes out again in a short space of time. So then you're not getting Leia next year in 2024 and then having to wait 5 years for Han Solo, for example, and then, you know, the quality has already changed. It's best to get them out in a short space of time and then they all match the same quality and they all go together. But I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think it's just the nature of the beast of any action figure line, to be honest. Patreon supporter Josh Butts says, hi Tim, cheers on the successful last figure standing with Hasbro participating in the chat. Question for next week. Lego leaked images show a special 25th anniversary logo for the Phantom Menace, like we've had for the 40th anniversary figures and sets of ESB and Return of the Jedi. I assume with such a product logo being used across all lines of Star Wars content, we should see a batch of the Phantom Menace TVC figures. Do you think the same, and when do you think they will be announced? Merry Christmas. I've got to say, unfortunately, I don't think that that is the case. I asked the question about a Phantom Menace mini beat in the most recent Hasbro Q&A, and the answer that I got is that they're celebrating the whole of the prequel trilogy. Now, the Black Series are getting some Phantom Menace figures. We've had nothing announced for the Vintage Collection yet. We've had some Attack of the Clones stuff announced with Dooku and what have you, and the Phase 1 Clone Trooper. So are they saying that, you know, we're going to give you these easier ones to do, like Clone Troopers and things like that, instead of giving you much needed characters from the Phantom Menace, and we're going to be celebrating the Phantom Menace that way by celebrating the prequels? I have seen the logo that you're on about. I'll put it onto the screen now, and that's why I've got these card backs in front of you here, and this is going to reinforce my point a little bit, hopefully anyway. So we've got the 50th anniversary logo, which is the first time they did that on a Vintage Collection card back. Then we had these two in the same year, I think it was. So we had the Clone Wars 20th anniversary and the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which was heavily serviced, if you like. They really did, you know, celebrate that anniversary, which was great. However, if you look at the most recent retro collection reveal, which was the Phantom Menace set, that does not have any type of logo on it. It doesn't have the one that's on those Lego leaked images that many lines, as you say, will be, you know, printing on their packaging. And that worries me slightly, because if you look at the Return of the Jedi retro collection box set, that does have the logo on it. So it makes you wonder, you know, are they avoiding using that because essentially they're not really celebrating the Phantom Menace? They haven't got enough product to put out there to really give it a good celebration. So instead they're saying, yes, we're aware that it's the 25th anniversary, but we're going to celebrate the prequels. I don't know, man. That's my sort of theory around it. You know, I'll be pleasantly surprised if we get anything the Phantom Menace related that's new and not just a reissue in 2024. We'll have to wait and see. John Gillespie says, hey, Bossk, I love your videos. I've been watching for years and I try not to miss any. Thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate that, John. He says, question for next week. I really like all the playsets Hasbro has done over the past years, such as the Tantive 4 and the Jabba's Palace. What other playsets would you like to see Hasbro produce in the future? I'd love a Star Destroyer bridge and a Rebel base. Yeah, so if we're sticking in with sort of the size of the Tanty 4, let's say, for example, like, how much was that? I can't even remember now, $40 or something. It's probably more than that. But if we're thinking of that size, then I really do think something like, you know, an Imperial version of that, some Imperial walls with like the blast doors that close, that could be pretty cool, because that could service so many different things in our sort of dioramas that we set up. You've mentioned a Rebel base there. I'd love them to do a Echo base, like the Hoth Echo base, because we've got so many figures that we could use for that, with those little sort of computer screens, and that would look pretty cool in my opinion if they could do that. And then maybe at the same time they could like reissue like the Tauntauns, get Han Solo's Tauntaun out from the Legacy collection to go with the Luke Skywalker one. But I can't see them doing that in the near future, because that's Empire Strikes Back, and at the end of the day they're going to be concentrating on other things, not the Empire Strikes Back. So, but yeah, there's a few ideas for a couple of play sets that I'd love to see them do. Steve de Bursa says, fantastic work on Last Figure Standing, and the data shared is extremely insightful. It gives Hasbro a lot of leverage in their planning for the years ahead. Question for next week: do you see the 2 figure packs featuring prominently in 2024? If so, what would your ideal 2-pack represent? I would like to see a Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, or a Darth Maul and Darth Sidious. Wishing you and your family a happy and restful Christmas season, and thank you for all the great content in 2023. Appreciate that, Steve. The 2-packs, I mean, I can definitely see them doing the Rebels 2-pack with the 2 figures that we're getting as add-ons to the HasLab. I can definitely see those being packed as a 2-pack. Whether they'll continue to do more 2-packs, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything along those lines. We'll have to wait and see. But an idea for a 2-pack, I do like your ideas there. And going off the theme of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would love to see them do a Rebels version with Maul and Obi-Wan from that final duel that they have on Tatooine there. I really love that scene in Rebels, but of course they'd have to make the figures look realistic, and that would be a great excuse to get a brand new Darth Maul out there in the line. And, you know, that could go hand in hand with the Phantom Menace as well. So there you go, Hasbro, I'm doing a job for you. Channel member Riley Bob says, hope you had a great holiday, Tim. Here's hoping TVC gets a nice chunk of the Phantom Menace this year. Come on, you Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan and Maul. Question for next week: do you have an end in sight to your collecting? Like once you finish the 96, get a certain collection completed, a certain figure, or are you ready to ride till the wheels fall off? Great video as always, and keep up the good work. I think basically the way I see it is that I will still collect the vintage collection for as long as it is around, and when and if they ever cancel the vintage collection, then I'd have to see what they do with 3.75. If it's still the quality of figures, then I will still buy them for my scenes and things like that. The card back is a big pull for me, but it's not everything. I would still want, you know, a loose collection. And if the figure standard is high, then I'd still buy them and probably review them as well. What I'm not interested in is, you know, being forced into the 6-inch line. And I'm also not really interested in being forced into 5 POA, like they tried to do with the whole Force Awakens and Last Jedi thing. So that's kind of where I am with it, really. You know, it's all about the figures. So long as they maintain this sort of quality, then I'm in. Okay then, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have a question for next week's episode, please leave it in the comment section below, and hopefully you'll be featured next week. I want to say a big thank you to everybody that's watched my channel and my videos and hit the like button and all that kind of good stuff in 2023. You've really helped my channel grow once again, and hopefully we can grow some more in 2024. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members who give me that extra support as well. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and we shall see you on the next one.